Okay, so as said in the previous lesson, we really are kind of trying to hone in to saving time. So the first major aspect of saving time is understanding the brief that you want to take and making sure you stick with that, okay? Don't get into the habit of changing and stick with it. Try and develop your ideas early, okay? So do your research, do your planning, do your preparation in the early stages before you even start getting your ideas down. Now, if you're going down the route of brief 2, this walk to freedom, you now have to make another choice. The choice is the style that you're going to follow. And you have a choice of two. Are you going to follow the popular music style, so where you can actually write a song and you must have a vocal for it if you go down that route, which in the past few years this has always been the most popular with my students. The idea of writing a song without having any constraints put on them fascinates my students, and they absolutely love it, and every year we get really good marks for them going down this route, and I think this is generally a really good way of doing it. However, every year my students do lose marks on the one where it says sound manipulation and effects, because it does take a bit of control to kind of do that, and sometimes my students they produce these really wonderful songs and then they don't want to kind of add the extra bit to them, and they really have to get those final 6 marks. That is the only drawback of doing the popular song one. For this particular course, I'm going down the contemporary route, okay? So I'm going to create a piece of music based on research done on the contemporary route. So from now on in, we are just going to be looking at these contemporary styles. A lot of what I look at will cross over to all 3 briefs, plus the different styles. And really it's about best practice over anything else, okay? But from now on, we are looking at this contemporary piece, okay? So the first thing that I need to do is read the text, understand what the meaning of the text is, understand how I can develop my soundscape in my contemporary piece to kind of match the emotions that's happening in the text. And they're quite deep lyrics. And one thing I've done already is read through them 4 or 5 times and just made a few notes about what they mean, what kind of instruments would portray that particular effect, what kind of developments do I need to do at which stages. And I always do this with all my projects, and a lot of people don't work this way, but this is the way I like to work. And I will map out each of my sections and how they're going to develop, and it does make my workflow that much faster, okay? Once again, a lot of people don't work this way, and a lot of people are not very good at planning, and I would say to those people that this task needs a lot of planning, okay? It does need for you guys to sit down and try and work some of this stuff out in advance, and it will save you a long time. The worst thing to do is sit in front of a computer screen and try and bash out some ideas, because 9 times out of 10 it won't be adequate and it won't be right, and you just need to take yourself away for a little bit and just try and work out some of these foundation ideas. Get yourself a nice big A3 pad of paper and just work out the structure, work out the instruments you're going to use, work out some kind of development ideas. And that's what we're going to look at next, is how to get some really good ideas down, some reference tracks to develop these things further, okay? So keep that in mind. Choose your brief, then choose your style and stick with it, okay? We don't want to waste any time later on, so make sure you make those 2 decisions now and stick with it. Final note is something learned over many, many years, is my students look at each other, okay? And if one of my students is doing brief 1 and one of my students is doing brief 2, and my students say doing brief 2 looks over and see that person doing brief 1 is doing that much better, they go, oh, I'm going to change because they're doing so much better. Every stage of this project there will be downfalls. Every stage of this project you will find things harder than other times, and it's down to your planning, okay? The reason someone else is progressing faster is because they've done that bit of planning, okay? So don't worry about what other people are doing. Concentrate and focus in on what you've chosen. And with that said, let's go and look at some research.